we are off.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Action.
Action Jackson.
Time to talk some movies with Kevin and Drew.
Movies on little screen.
You got that right. Let's fucking do this, buddy.
All right.
And it's a Halloween edition of our fucking little podcast here.
For the season of Spook.
Yeah. The Duke of Spook.
Duke of Spook.
My choice for this one is Rob Zombie's. It was his first film, right?
It is his first
House
film,
of a Thousand Corpses.
I remember what a big deal it was when it came out, too.
Yeah. And what'd you choose, Drew?
I chose the 2021 Candyman movie, which was produced by Jordan Peele. It's actually made by his... that was his movie company, too.
Kind of felt like a Jordan Peele.
It really does, man. It really kind of... You can tell his influence on it for sure.
Mm-hmm. But we'll get into that later.
Yes, sir.
As for now, we should do us up a snapshot. Spooky.
Spooky. Ooh.
Probably half
all
retarded.
right. So did you watch any other movies for this one, man?
I did, but real quick, first before we do that, I just wanted to say that I signed up for, Rotten Tomatoes, so now my opinion counts. And
Watch out, motherfuckers!
I don't know why it took me so long to do that.
Oh, actually,
but it's kind of cool. You know what? Rate all these movies and shit.
So I was going to bring this up before we get into talking about movies. I didn't watch as many movies as I wanted to for this pod because I've been doing Ink October. So I've been actually doing I've been doing drawings. So I've been spending a lot more time.
Some of those on the Facebooks.
Yeah, there's some of them I'm like, that's okay, but a couple of them I was pretty proud of. Like,
yeah, man. If you're listening, check out Drew's fucking Facebook.
Drew's Drawings.
Drew's Drawings.
And then kind of speaking of that, I got to give a shout out because my homeboy said he's been listening to a podcast, and this is my brother from another mother. Thanks, Nick Bowen. Thanks for listening to the pod, my guy.
Hey, Nick. Nick. That's awesome. That's fucking...
Yeah.
It's always good when we get some
I love
listeners.
Positive feedback. Yeah, especially people that I actually like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People I don't like the podcast, well, fuck you.
Right. It's just our dumb little hobby. We still like doing it, and
I love talking about
going.
It. Yeah,
until
please somebody give us money so we can just do this insteed of our real jobs.
Until the wheels fall off, baby. Let's go.
But give us a sponsorship, somebody.
Yeah, we need some of that sweet, sweet dough coming in.
Some of that sweet bread, baby.
Yeah, buddy. Any hoozle. Talk about any other movies we watched before we get into these main two.
I do got a few.
Let me throw one out. I watched a movie called Blaze. It was pretty good. It's like this country. It's a drama about the life and legacy of Blaze Foley, an unsung singer-songwriter of the Texas outlaw movement that inspired Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson.
Nice.
I noticed Sam Rockwell in there and Steve Zahn.
I fucking love Sam Rockwell, dude. He's such an underrated actor, man.
It's the chick from Arrested Development. I don't know if you ever watched
that. Oh, yeah. I love that show,
It's the cousin, maybe.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah, she's in it. What do you got? You got one?
I've got a few. The first two I'm going to do one that I love because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's called Event Horizon. I think it's essentially it's a better Hellraiser, right? So instead of a box that brings people into hell, it's this space mission where they're trying to figure out a way around faster than light travel. So they create a device that can warp the physical space plane. So essentially, the idea is to meld two places into like one point of space, so that a way a ship can pass through it. So that way, it's basically like faster than light travel. It's like instantaneous travel, but the coordinates get messed up, and so the ship disappears. And then it just suddenly reappears 7 years later. So this crew is tasked to go figure out where it's been and what's going on. And it's a really wild movie, but it's I think it's honestly one of the best sci-fi horror movies ever done. I think it's honestly pretty comparable to the first Alien movie. It's really good.
Who's in that? That's
it's got Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill, and it's got the lady from Jurassic Park, the blonde.
Oh, Laura Dern.
Yep, it's got Laura Dern in it.
That's cool.
It's got a couple other actors I used to see in movies like all the time in the 80s and 90s that kind of disappeared after.
I've heard you mention this movie before.
Yeah, it's
still haven't watched it.
It's okay, man, and it's not for everybody, but I think it's a really fucking good horror movie. It essentially the ship accidentally gets sent to hell, and it brings that like presence back with it, and so it has like that same Alien vibe where they're trapped like isolated in space, and there's nobody that can help them, and the ship basically warps their distortion of space into their worst nightmares. It's a wild movie.
Damn.
It's just so well made. And the craziest thing about this movie is there was it's already like a gory, intense, crazy movie, but there was an X-rated version of it where it was like there was no rating. It was like 3 times as gory, and because you don't actually see what happened to the crew, you just see like recordings of like them like slightly like you just get like a hint of it. So it's just like a sampled recording. It's maybe only a couple seconds long, but in the original cut you get to see all of it, and apparently it was so brutal that they cut it from the movie. And they got rid of that edition of the movie because there was a director's cut of this movie originally, and they got rid of it so nobody could ever seen it because they decided it was too brutal. And I was like, fuck, man, I wanted to watch that movie because that would have been because this is already a wild movie. That must have been like it must have been fucking wild. Because I mean, there's already a scene in this movie where they walk into the room and this guy has literally been gutted from his throat to his pelvis, and like all his intestines have like fallen out, like, and he's like pinned to the ceiling. You see like all of it, and it's just like whoa. And I was like, wait a minute, this movie was even more violent than that. That's fucking crazy.
Have you ever seen the Cube movies? Cube and Hypercube.
I've heard of them, but I've never actually watched them.
They're kind of fun horror movies.
Yeah.
I don't know why that reminded me of it.
Yeah, this is it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's so good.
My next one was we all went to the theater and saw Killers of the Flower Moon.
Nice.
That new Martin Scorsese movie. It's fantastic, bro.
I want to see it. I wanted to go with you guys, good. But I didn't get out of work early enough. I didn't get out of work till like 10 that weekend. I
know it deters a lot of people because it's 3.5 hours long, but it's really fucking good. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I mean, fucking
DiCaprio and De Niro and fucking.
But I was gonna say, his really last movie, The Irishman, is like 3.5 hours, and fucking.
It's better than The Irishman, I would say.
I know, I like that movie. So cool.
I liked it too.
But I'll definitely watch this. I was gonna say Goodfellas is almost a 3-hour movie too. It's like 2 hours and 42
movie.
Fantastic movie. I mean, Scorsese doesn't make bad movies.
Oh man, he's got Gangs of New York, fucking.
See, that's
Departed.
Gangs of New York is the one where like I love Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's kind of weird, right?
Like there are pieces of that movie I think are so good, but as a whole, I don't actually like it that much.
Right. Yeah, so I totally recommend that one. You got any others?
Yeah, I got a few more. So I'm gonna do this as a double. I watched Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2. I love Sam Raimi's horror movies. I'm probably at some point before Halloween is over, I'll probably watch Drag Me to Hell 2. I really like his horror movies. It's not connected. It's his style where it's like there are horror elements that are like Yeah, he has like a campy, but like some of his shit are like really good jump scares, but then it's campy, and some of it's like funny, and then his other shit is like funny and it's not supposed to be. But that's why I love Sam Raimi's horror movies, because like Evil Dead 1 is hilarious, and it's because it's so bad, and that's why I love it. Like,
yeah, I threw that on like a while back, and I couldn't get through it. I was like, I turned it off.
Yeah, and it's like, and I respect that. It's not a good movie, but I just think it's so funny because it's so bad. But as far as like the body horror and like them like chopping people up, it's actually like really well done. Like the prosthetics in the movie they're pretty fucking great, actually, especially for its time, because that movie came out in like I want to say like 1981 or something. It came out. It's a pretty fucking old movie.
There's a Mushroom Head music video that kind of but like kind of takes after that movie. It's pretty good.
Of the three, Evil Dead 2 is my favorite because it's the perfect blend of like horror and this weird, like funny joke, like funny haha, and then like funny very strange.
How am I funny?
Yep.
Funny haha.
Like funny I'm a clown? Like funny I make jokes?
Joe Pesci.
Like I'm amusing to you?
How am I funny?
That's so good.
Joe Pesci.
What's so funny, I'll come back to Evil Dead 2 in a second, but what's so funny about that is that that wasn't scripted, and that was actually Ray Liotta's genuine reaction. Like, he actually was, like, in the moment kind of scared, because he was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Because he knew, like, Joe Pesci could be kind of a loose cannon.
Have you ever heard that Carlin joke where he's like, I don't pray to God, I pray to
Joe
fucking
Pesci, yeah.
Because he seems like a man who can get shit done.
Yep, he's like, praying to God and praying to Joe Pesci, my prayers get answered about the same amount. It's about 50-50. Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah. My next one.
I wasn't finished. But,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, bringing it back to Evil Dead 2.
Bringing it back.
There's a scene where the walls and like all, because he's been corrupted with like the disease, and so like all the like walls, like the lamp and the fucking like deer's head on the wall, like everything becomes animated, and it starts laughing at him, and so he like is like having this crazy fever dream, and like while they're laughing at him, this fucking deer head starts like shooting blood at his face, and then it just fills the whole room with blood. It's wild, and it's so funny. I fucking love that movie, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I don't know if I've seen him or not. I remember seeing Army of Darkness.
I was gonna say, of the three, I think you'd probably like Army of Darkness the best, because that's the one where it's intentionally supposed to be more humor than. I mean, it's still like horror-esque, but it's really more of a comedy movie than the other two.
Alrighty. Well, my next one is not exactly a movie, but it's a fantastic watch. Bo Burnham's Inside. Have you seen that?
Dude, it's so funny.
It's so good,
and
right?
It's so on the nose, too. It encapsulates that time so well.
Yeah. Just being stuck in your fucking house.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
I've seen it.
My hat was off to
I've seen it a bunch of times, and every time I was still laughing a lot, and I'm still fucking. It's just still so fascinating. I picked it one time on the movie podcast, and Mike didn't even watch the whole thing.
Man. I mean, I can understand why people don't like it. I mean, his humor definitely isn't for anyone. I mean, it's
not for everyone.
Not for everyone. It's not for anyone. It's garbage. No. I actually think Bo Burnham is very funny, and I think he's very ahead of his time, because he's one of the.
He's younger than us, dude. I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he got. He blew up on YouTube very young. And
yep.
Shit.
Yep. Dude. My favorite Bo Burnham joke is the "I fuck sluts," and then you hear the girls in the crowd go, "Woo!" And he goes, "Well, it wasn't a roll call, but thanks." Dude, he's so quick-witted. Yeah. He's fucking hilarious.
Oh, he's so good. So, yeah, and you got any more? I got one more.
I've got one more. I'm just going to mention it because it's actually going to tie into A House of a Thousand Corpses. So I did actually also watch Devil's Rejects 2. But I'll talk about that a little bit more with House of a Thousand Corpses, because there's parts of it that are really important to like talking about both. So I'll talk about it later.
The last one I watched was Old Dads, that brand new Bill Burr movie on Netflix. I want to watch
that. How was it?
It's decent. It's pretty good. It's funny.
See, I'll watch it. I'm a sucker for Bill Burr. I'll watch anything, any shit he's in, man. Like,
yeah.
Like even.
I mean, comedies don't blow me away anymore. But still, it was a decent watch, you know.
Well, honestly, and I've said this on the pod,
except for
too.
Weird Al, that movie fucking rules.
Dude, that movie is fucking hilarious, man.
That's one of the best comedies.
Actually, I've got one more, and it's also a Rob Zombie movie. If you're done talking about Old Dads,
yeah.
I was going to bring this up, and it's actually I wanted to bring it up because I'm like 50-50 with Rob. Some of his movies I really like, and some of his other movies I fucking do not like at all.
I agree.
And this was one I did not like. So I tried to watch his new Monster movie, and I'm usually pretty good about finishing movies. I didn't even finish it.
You turned it off.
It was, and this is the thing, is like
I just saw like scenes from it. I didn't even give it the time of day.
Well, because I used to watch the old Munster like black and white show, because when I grew up, there was this guy. His name was Finn Gooley, and he did like obscure horror shit at night. It was really cool if you were like a horror fan, like I was. Yeah. I was a big fucking horror geek. Like me and my friend, another shout out, Matt Hayes, miss you, brother.
Hey, yo, Matt.
But we were really into horror movies, and so it was so cool because Sven Gooley was out of Chicago, and we got Chicago stations. So late at night, he would play on the TV, and he would play a lot of obscure horror. But then, like, once his program got to super late at night, he would do like old Munster reruns, and I actually really liked that show because it was like weird and kooky. But it had just enough heart, like of like a sitcom. Like it was almost like one of the first sitcoms. You know what I mean? Because it was in like the fucking 50s and 60s.
There's also a tie-in to House of a Thousand Corpses. At one point, they're watching monsters on the TV.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't.
Well, and because it's clear that Rob was a big Munster fan because like all the makeup and shit was like spot on. It's just. It had that Rob like zaniness to it, and he tried to make it edgy. Like he was trying to like tell their backstory before they became a family, but it was just like it was goofy, but it tried to have that Rob Zombie edge, and it just like it didn't fit. And it made me really not like the movie. Like he was like the Frankenstein guy. Herbert was like a punk rock star, and it was just like I just don't like this. I was like, it's
cheesy.
It's cheesy, but not in the good way that the old version was cheesy. And it doesn't have it was completely missing the heart of it. And the great thing about that show was just like, we're a bunch of freaks and we don't really fit in. But that's okay. Like, we found our place and we have each other. Like that important thing is like, even if you don't fit in and you're not like everybody else, that's okay. Like that's a really fucking important message. Mm-hmm. And I really like that about that show. And his movie is just totally devoid of that. And I was just like, this is really just kind of fucking cringy. And I hate it. And honestly, dude, he should not do humor. Like,
it's very colorful.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is he shouldn't do humor. Like sometimes his humor like lands, like you can tell he's got a fucked up sense of humor, but when he's actively like trying to be funny, it's just like you can try, he's just
doesn't quite work.
It doesn't work. It's just like, man, you're trying too hard with this shit. This is like it's really more cringy and annoying than it is funny. I'll end it there. That's my piece on that movie. Don't watch it. It sucks.
We should just get into House of a Thousand Corpses then.
Let's jump into it.
We're already basically in there.
Yeah, let's shit on another Rob Zombie movie.
2003 horror.
I'm kidding.
It does say horror comedy when I looked it up. So 2003 horror comedy, director Rob Zombie. So
I have a question for you first.
Sure.
How did you watch this movie?
On Tubi with ads.
Oh God, dude. I'm gonna tell you right now. I have the DVD. So the only way to watch this movie is to watch the DVD. Because I think the best actor in this movie is Sid Haig. He's the guy that plays Captain Spaulding. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's got, at this point, when House of a Thousand Corpses was made, Sid Haig had been an actor for like 45 years.
R.I.P.,
you know what I mean?
Right? He died.
Yeah, he died like 3 or 4 years ago. R.I.P. A fucking horror movie legend.
Mm-hmm.
That guy he was awesome. But the thing that makes the DVD is so great is there's a special thing about it where they actually filmed entire scenes of him in the clown suit. So like when the DVD menu pops up, you have to ring the bell, and he fucking walks up into the DVD menu and talks shit to you until you pick an option.
That's hilarious.
Awesome, dude.
That's awesome.
He's just like, here you are, just wasting my fucking time. He's like, well, I guess I'm just going to eat my chicken. Howdy fucking do. And then like he walks in the back and he comes back and he's like, you're still fucking here? Would you just pick something already, you lip dick? Like, it's so funny and it's so good. And you're just like, man, this is what House of a Thousand Corpses is missing, man. Like, honestly, like...
There should have been more Sid Haig.
He's the most entertaining part of that movie.
That's true. I agree. Bill Moseley's pretty good, but...
I was just going to bring that up, too. I totally agree with you. I think him and Sid Haig are absolutely the best actress in this movie by far.
Don't you like clowns? Don't you think we're fucking funny?
That's Devil's Rejects, but that is my favorite fucking scene in both of these movies. And again, Sid Haig, R.I.P. fucking legend. His dialogue is so good, and I think a lot of it he improvised too. Because I love that he's like, if you don't give me a reason why you hate clowns when I come back and see you, I'm gonna kill your whole fucking family. It's just so intense and great. Or when he talks to Bill Moseley, he goes, "I'll tell you what's gonna happen. 2 hits. I hit you, and your dick digs into the dirt."
Or when the guy's trying to rob him, he's like, he counts to 3 or whatever. 1.
Fuck you.
Fuck your mother.
Fuck your mama. Fuck your sister.
Yeah.
Fuck your daddy too. Like, just completely unscared. And then Bill Moseley comes out in a mask and fucking hacks that guy with a machete.
Yeah.
Big spoilers, by the way. This all happens in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. We got a 21% tomato meter.
That doesn't actually surprise me at all. I'm going to say this. Will you actually look up Devil's Rejects? I want to see what Devil's Rejects is to me.
All right. That, by the way, 65% audience. Score, a little better. Yeah. Oh, see, we're supposed to get Nate kind of wanted to be our Google guy, so if we ever needed anything, he could be off on the side fucking...
Dude, I'm told... Nate, shout out Nate. Nate, if you want to do that, man, you're fucking more than welcome, dude. Just let us know. I'm down for that.
All right, let's see what we
Because then
got.
within the give it a goog, we'll finally, like, have more meaning. Like, Nate, give it a goog. Be our guy in the chair.
It's some better scores. You got 55 on the tomato meter. 78 with the audience.
That's pretty much exactly what I thought. So now I'm gonna dive into what I think the problems of House of a Thousand Corpses is. So I think the biggest problem with it is that the ending just goes completely off the rails.
Yeah, I agree. The ending fucking sucks.
Except for the very, very end, where it's like you think the girl got away, and then and I think, but the problem with House of a Thousand Corpses, and this is a big spoiler if you haven't watched it, you probably fucking watched it. It's a 20-year-old movie.
Yeah, this is the 20th anniversary of this film, which is a crazy coincidence.
Yeah. But it's great.
I didn't mean that when I picked it.
It's great. But the very first time you watch it, when you think the heroine, whatever you want to call her, has escaped, and she gets in the car with Sid Haig, you know he's a crazy motherfucker, but you don't know like that he's connected to the house at all. So you're like, okay, well, she got, it's sketchy, but you're like, maybe he won't kill her. Like, he seems like a kind of guy who just kills people that fucking try and rob him, which is, that's totally fair. Right. I was like, you're robbing me at gunpoint, and I'm a bad motherfucker with a gun, like, and I'm used to this kind of bullshit. I'm probably gonna fucking kill you before you kill me. However, you find out that he's connected to the house, and Bill Moseley pops up and stabs the girl with a machete. That's a pretty, that's a pretty good, like, surprise little ending.
Yeah.
But it only works the first time, because after that, it's like, that it's coming. And it's just like, okay. And that's kind of how it is for me when you pick this movie. There are scenes that I really like. Like, every scene with Bill Moseley and Sid Haig I love. But I'm going to be honest, this was Sherry Moon's first movie, and you can tell because her acting is
I hate her in this movie.
her acting is fucking terrible in this movie. Every time she does that little laugh.
Yeah, that fake laugh.
I'm just
I
like...
fucking hate it, dude.
I'm just like, I'm sure you're a nice person in real life. Like, you're fine. You're a very attractive lady, but you can't act worth a shit. And every time you do that laugh, I want to stab you in the throat, so you can't do it anymore.
Just her whole cadence of how she speaks and all.
Yeah,
that
it's
shit.
it's very lowbrow. She's obviously the weakest actor on this entire movie. She spoils a lot of scenes for me now. The grandpa cracks me up though. As a side note, the grandpa was fucking great in this movie. His whole he's all, you're eating your wife's pussy. And he's like, here's grandma.
Let me ask you this. How many zombies could Rob Zombie rob if Rob Zombie could rob zombies? I fucked that up, but that's...
I get what you're getting at.
That's funny.
Maybe 1,000.
Let me throw out a couple taglines. The most shocking tale of carnage ever seen. Okay. Kind of just hyping yourself up right there. The movie some never wanted you to see. That doesn't really mean anything.
Here's a fun fact.
And this last one,
go ahead.
This last one's just a quote from the movie, I believe. Life and death are meaningless, and pain is God. Doesn't Bill Moseley say that? I think so.
Yeah, he does. It's one of his speeches when he it's like the fever dream part after they've killed most of them, or like they're torturing them. It's when it's like got like that red like trippy vibe, like almost like you're looking through one of those kaleidoscopes.
Right.
I was gonna say. Damn it, I lost my train of thought.
I kind of wanted to, I posted this and I said we were going to talk about this movie. So I wanted to shout out some of the fucking comments that we got on here.
Yeah, go ahead, man. I'll mull over what I was trying to think about.
So my friend Miranda said, one of my favorite horror movies. Yes, my thoughts are, I'm going to love this. Can't forget about Devil's Rejects also, obviously.
Yeah, I'm actually going to talk more about that in a minute.
But then again, everything Rob Zombie is awesome. I don't know about that.
I'm going to have to hard disagree. 31 was a terrible movie.
I didn't like 31. Lords of Salem was awful.
I'm going to say this. If you want to see a good witch movie, watch The Witch, where it's like an old-timey...
Oh, that's a Robert Eggers one.
It's a really fucking good movie. You want to see a good witch movie? I'm going to have to try that one. Watch that movie. It's a slow burn, but you'll probably like it because it's a slow burn, and it's like, once you realize what's going on at the end, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
The monster sucks. Like, no, he definitely makes bad movies. And honestly, I would say this one had the potential to be better, but I think he would have been better off, honestly, just casting an actual actress to play Baby instead of using his wife, because there are parts of this movie where she's acting and it just really takes me out of it. And the first time I watched it, I really liked it, and I've actually liked it less.
I was about to say, dude, I was
with
like,
each progressive watch.
Back in the day, I mean, I was young and impressionable. I think that's kind of why.
Well,
plus, I loved Rob Zombie. I love his music. And
and his, and this movie's really edgy, and so as a teenager, I loved like super gory horror movies too. And that's kind of, a lot of this. What's in this movie is kind of gore porn. It's there are a lot of odes to like old slasher films and stuff like that. What I was going to bring up though is this is one of Rainn Wilson's first movies too.
That's what I was about to say.
I actually love that scene where Bill Moseley introduces him as a fish boy.
Yeah,
like that is like those scenes. I'm hitting the nail. Like, I'm basically beating a dead horse, but Sig Haig and Bill Moseley really are the best parts of this movie.
Another of the comments on this movie is my buddy Carlos, who wants to be on the pod again soon. He said, yeah, my favorite fish boy, and I sent him a gif of Dwight.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But now I want to talk about Devil's Rejects a little bit.
Sure.
Because... so here's another thing about House of a Thousand Corpses. So we talked about how the best way to watch it is Sig Haig, like, and how he walks into like the correct, which is so cool. That was such a nice touch, and I actually wish they would have done something like that on the Devil's Rejects DVD because that was such like a genuine touch for the fans.
Yeah, they
like,
quit doing that on DVDs, huh? They don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they do the big menu thing anymore.
But it was so cool because it's literally like an extra 10 minutes of dialogue with Sid Haig on the DVD, and it's just like that's honestly the coolest fucking feature on the DVD. It's just like all that extra dialogue from him. But I don't know if you remember when House of a Thousand Corpses first came out, the original trailer for it. Do you remember that? Because I do, like night and day. Because I was really excited. The original like mini trailer for the movie.
Not exactly.
So I'll tell you what it is, because I remember it like crystal clear, because I was so excited for this movie.
Can you pull that up, Nate? No, okay.
But the original trailer is like a bunch of guys in yellow hazmat suits, and they're in front of like a big old house, and they're digging into the earth, and you hear like this person saying just like, this is one of the worst murder cases we've ever seen. It's like, we keep finding all these unmarked graves. There has to be over 1,000 bodies here. So that dialogue does not show up anywhere in House of a Thousand Corpses, but after the beginning of The Devil's Rejects, where the police raid their house, and after the raid is over and Baby and Bill Moseley's character have escaped.
Yeah, what's his name in this? I forget.
I don't remember.
That's all right. I'll figure it out. But yeah, go ahead.
But so that dialogue that's in the original trailer for Otis. But the dialogue for the original trailer shows up in The Devil's Rejects, and it's from a reporter talking to the main sheriff. And I think that was such a cool little touch, like, and that's why I think it was kind of important to like kind of include them both together, because it's just like that little, like those little things that tie the original to Devil's Rejects. And I mean, there's so much more.
I need to revisit Devil's Rejects, maybe.
Well, and I think
it probably is the better movie.
The reason it's a better movie, not only is it a better horror movie, because it keeps that grounded tone where, you know, the world isn't filled with monsters.
That's what I hate about this movie, dude. After this watch, dude, I'll be honest, it really went down in my eyes, this movie.
Yeah,
and I used to love it, man. I used to think it, but I never really quite liked the ending, though. Like all that underground catacomb shit.
Well, and this is kind of the thing too, because I was going to get to that too. Is that it seemed like to me that the whole Dr. Satan rumor, he was actually like their uncle or some shit like that, and that they had all spread that rumor so they could get people to fucking come to their house so they could keep doing these satanic rituals and sacrificing them. Like, that is kind of like why I think the legend came about. But I think it's interesting because they completely raid their house and they make it to like the underground parts, and at no point is any of that shit that's like in the deep underground, like in the canals beneath the house, it's not even mentioned. It's basically like they pretend like it didn't exist. And I think that was really smart on their part, because I think the first movie would have done itself such a service if they played on the Dr. Satan thing, and it was like fucking grandpa, or it was like someone they related to, or if it was literally just like a rumor that they started to trick people into coming out here and then murdering them, because that's their fucking thing. That's how they get their kicks. Like,
yeah.
Because that is what The Devil's Rejects does so much better. It completely throws away all that weird supernatural bullshit.
That's what I hate about it.
And it keeps the movie grounded.
Because it's great until that point, dude.
It keeps the movie grounded. And it, shows us that, monsters aren't these fucking made up things. Monsters are other fucking people, right. Especially Bill Moseley. He has one of the best fucking lines.
Psychopath.
in the Devil's Rejects, there is some great dialogue in House of a Thousand Corpses. The dialogue from Bill Moseley and Sid Haig is so much better in the Devil's Rejects. And Bill Moseley has a fucking line that I will never forget, and it's a big series. He says, "Oh, you wanted to play the hero, huh? Well, I'll tell you about heroes, boy. Heroes end up fucking dead. You want to see badass? I'll show you badass, motherfucker." And then he slits the guy's throat, and then he looks at him. He's like, "Pray to your god." And he's like, "Nope, still not feeling anything. Tell you what, I'm here to do the devil's work." And then he just beats the guy's brains in. Like,
dude, I forgot Brian Posehn was in that one.
Yep, he gets shot in the face.
That's right.
Like 30
and
minutes
Danny
into the
Trejo?
movie. Yeah. So this is the other interesting thing too about the Devil's Rejects, and it's something that, you know, I feel like in the real world can be true. Is like sometimes when you have people that are so fucking bad, you have to send people that are just as bad to catch them. You know what I mean? And that's essentially what, because Diamond Dallas Page, shout out Diamond Dallas Page, he's in that movie too, and they're basically like really sketchy shitbag bounty hunters that the sheriff sends to help him catch these motherfuckers, because he obviously can't do it on his own because they're so fucking crazy. And the way the movie ends too is really realistically, because it's like, you know, there's these murderers that have killed scores of people, so how else are they going to end up? How is it going to end? Well, they're going to fucking die in a shootout. Like, and that's like pretty fucking realistic.
Fucking way she goes.
Yeah.
I never realized that was Chris Hardwick. Do you know Chris Hardwick? He's the, you know, in the group of friends or whatever. Not Rainn Wilson, obviously, but the other guy.
Oh,
Chris
the guy with the beard?
Yeah, he's a fucking comedian, bro. Yeah, and he was on that, you know, Talking Dead show after Walking Dead.
The guy that plays the deputy, he was in a ton of TV shows and movies.
Oh,
like,
you're talking about Walton Goggins?
He was on like Justified, and like he's been in a shit ton of movies.
He's
in
Righteous Gemstones.
He's
Uncle Baby Billy.
He's Uncle Baby Billy. He's also
Uncle Baby.
He's
Billy.
also in The Hateful Eight too. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, he's a good actor, man.
Yeah, he's fucking.
And it's so weird that like this movie was like one of his like, it was like his big break.
He was in another show with Danny McBride called Vice Principals too. That one was pretty good.
I love him as Baby Billy though. He's fucking
Uncle Baby
hilarious.
Billy.
Uncle Baby Billy.
Baby Billy's Baba Bunkers.
You stole my sister, you son of a bitch. That's a great show, dude. I love it.
And then the part where they fucking kill him, how it like zooms out all slow and shit, and
see
they hold on to that fucking scene for just extra long.
Yeah,
I kind of like that.
It's very, very cinematic. I mean, there is some great camera work. Like, there are some scenes with great camera work. That was kind of the other thing I really fucking noticed about going back and watching these movies, is how bad the camera work is a lot of the time. The cinematography for these movies is frankly dog shit. Like, it just is. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And at times where it needs to be like very steady, like for like the big action set piece in the beginning, the camera jumps back and forth so much, it's just jarring. And I was like, dude, you would have been so much better like filming like 30 seconds of like the police like shooting from the outside and then panning to the inside instead of like constantly jumping back and forth. It's fucking jarring, man. And it's the same thing with the Devil's Rejects. It's like I feel like he used a shit ton of filters to hide the fact of how bad the cinematography is, because it'd be like upon this watch it was really noticeable.
Yeah. I feel like this movie is very similar to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. Similar.
It's definitely a cult hit in that same way.
Same type of deal. It's like a group of friends.
Yeah, very weird. I honestly, I got to give it up to the original though. I think the original is much better.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why.
The one I'm super familiar with is the Jessica Biel one.
The 2003 one, yeah.
That came out the same year as this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And that one, and I will say this, that one's an okay movie. Like, as far as like, it's not a good movie, but it's an okay horror movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
I was going to say it because it's got fucking Arnie from Full Metal Jacket. Arnie's fucking awesome in that movie too. And just like in all of his movies, he fucking literally just did his own dialogue. He just ad-libbed all his own shit, and it was amazing because he's so good at it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I would say the reason why the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, despite it being such a fucking weird movie and it's like really off-putting to people, the reason it's more successful is it approaches the gore scene so much differently, where you don't ever really see people die. Like, you hear them die in other rooms, but you don't see it. So it puts the image in your mind, and it just becomes so much more impactful because you're using your imagination, and your imagination is almost always worse than the visual.
That's why fucking Jaws worked so well.
Exactly.
Because you didn't see the shark as much as...
and it just allowed that tension to build up, yeah.
And that was partly due to the mechanics of the shark always breaking down or something, is what I've heard, Spielberg.
But
I fucking love Jaws. Jaws
it's a great
is
movie,
great.
Man.
I picked it once for a Halloween episode.
It's a fucking classic, man.
This movie does take place on Halloween, though, which is cool.
Yep.
Halloween episode, 1977, which is interesting. It ties into Candyman because that opening scene is 1977, which is weird, dude. I was like, whoa, what a weird coincidence.
Hey, man, I feel like these picks lined up so perfectly.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't know, man. I think I've kind of said my piece about this movie, really.
Let me see what I got in my notes. Walton Goggins, yeah, Uncle Baby Billy. Oh, this is a stupid note. That guy Tiny, the big weird looking guy.
He really is like 7'5", like he's enormous.
He was in Bubble Boy, I think.
He's also in a movie called Big Fish. I've seen Big Fish. Yeah, he's basically like the giant guy in every movie from like 1995 to like 2008.
Well, I just thought it was funny because his name's Tiny, and he eats out of a dog bowl that says Tiny, and our dog is named Tiny.
That's funny, man. That's funny. I also love that he has that is some of the funnier aspects of this movie, that he has. It's so tongue-in-cheek because he's tiny, and he's the most physically intimidating out of everybody, but he's also the most gentle.
Yeah.
Like when the girl's like, "Will you please let me go?" He just kind of shrugs and then lets her go.
Scene when he's eating out of the dog bowl.
Yeah, he's eating out of the dog bowl. He's like, "Yeah, all right, whatever."
Yeah, and then what's his name comes down. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Otis,
and he's like,
"Yeah." Otis is like,
he just shrugs.
He's like, "Yeah," he shrugs, but it's also like what are you actually gonna do to me? I was like, "I'll crush your head in my hands." Like,
we kind of touched on this, but like it's a lot of interesting editing choices and directing choices. I mean, he's got like the negative filters on and all that shit, and like all the in between cut scenes where it's like old TV shit, and like I don't know, it's a lot. It's an interesting choice as a director.
He's trying to paint this picture of just how fucking off these people are, like, because they really all are fucking out of their minds.
Yeah.
And so partly like the filters are to like convey that, but I just think that just kind of upon this watch, it showed his weakness as a director. I think it
was his first movie. I'm guessing he probably directed some of his music videos before.
Yeah,
most likely.
And it's just like choices of a novice director, and I mean, this is a low budget movie. Like, we can't like. This was a low budget.
Like $4 million.
It's a low budget movie, man.
Something like
that.
And
I think he raised the money himself to do it, and I respect that, man. Like, to get a project this big off the ground by yourself like that, it takes some moxie. Like it's just. And now that I've watched so many horror movies and I've seen what can be done, like in the current generation with horror movies, especially like with the cinematography side, like I'm gonna jump into Candyman just a little bit. I'm gonna do a side by side.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap this one up. This might be a long episode.
That's fine. I'm just saying if you just compare Candyman cinematography to House of a Thousand Corpses, I mean, I know it's a 20-year gap, but like you can, it's just glaring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because Candyman, even if you don't like them, even if you hate the movie, you think it sucks, the cinematography in that movie is fucking amazing. Like, it's very tight. And it was just something, even compared to Devil's Rejects, where he had improved, it's something it's very obvious.
Yeah. I'm back on the ending again. Like I said, I don't care for the fucking ending.
Well,
but
it's kind of like I compare the ending,
all the Mad Max looking creatures and shit.
Yeah, it's honestly really lame.
Especially the part where the tunnel collapses. That looks so fucking cheesy.
It's really bad, man. It's really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's just so unnecessary. Like this, it's so much more interesting. And again, this is why Devil's Rejects is a better movie, is because it's so much more interesting when the horror is coming from other people. Like, you know, you're dealing with these fucking crazy people and you have no idea what they're capable of doing to you. That's so much more frightening and real than these fucking Scooby-Doo monsters that are in the tunnel. It's just like,
yeah.
It's like, you know, like that weird, like fucking green goop that comes out of his like circle mouth.
Yeah.
I was like, it doesn't even look good. I was like,
mouth.
what? I was like, it looks like a fucking anus, like puking like pea soup.
Prolapsed anus.
Yeah,
like
a prolapsed anus puking pea soup. Like, what the fuck are you even doing with this movie anymore?
Prolapsed anus puking pea soup. Write that on the tagline.
That's the new tagline for this movie. Honestly, this movie could have fucking just been Sig Haig like at the counter, and it would have been so much more entertaining.
All right, wrapping this one up.
Wrap it up.
Like I said, I think I was young and impressionable at the time when I got hooked on this movie. But that happens with the same thing, like with music and shit like that. At a certain age, the music you listen to, it's always going to have a place in your heart and shit.
Yeah, well, and I mean, if you're not familiar with like some of the old school like slasher movies that are really gory, this is going to be like your first like edgy horror movie. And so like, I mean, I was way more into this movie when I was younger. I was like, yeah, this movie rules. And now I'm just like, it's okay.
Yeah, this movie has drastically dropped in my ratings book, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think the first half's pretty good, but after this viewing, it really falls off a cliff at a certain point. So that's why I put it at a 4.
Yeah. If I was going to rate it based solely on Sig Haig and Bill Moseley, and if we like ended it like at the where they just bury them, if that's
before
where the movie,
all the
and it was just them like doing a satanic rituals and the credits full.
Yeah, before all the fucking skeletons coming alive and shit.
I would probably give it like a 6.5, but I'm kind of with you, man. I give it a 4.5. Like,
that's fair.
Rewatchability,
I highly doubt it.
I was gonna say, if we're talking about the DVD, I'll give it a 5 just because of the menu with Sid Haig. Because I'm telling you, dude, like, don't even watch the movie. Just put in the DVD. I'll let you borrow it just for that fucking. Next time I come over, just like pop that in and just watch that first 10 minutes because it's some of the funniest shit you'll ever see. By the way,
I think
good.
You still got my Lamb of God DVD.
I do.
You can bring that while you're at it.
No, I will. No, I will. I will. I'll put it in my car. I'll put it in my little baggie and I'll bring it to you.
Did you say your rewatchability or no?
Man,
I don't think so.
Maybe next year. I don't know. I'll just fucking watch the better movie. I'll just watch Devil's Rejects next year. I'll just skip this movie.
There you have it, folks. Pretty low rated one on our part. I'm gonna grab a couple more beers if you want one. Is that cool? Take a little break. We'll get back to Candyman.
Yeah. We can take a $5. This is going to be a long one. I had so much to say, man.
I know. We were going off. All right. Back in a
All right. Break time, everybody.
And we're
back, everybody.
We're back.
With some cold ones. Here's right. Johnny. I did that just for you guys for the Halloween episode.
Hell yeah. Do you like that movie?
I do like that movie, actually. I actually think it's one of those.
It's another Kubrick.
I was going to say, I think it's probably the movie by him I like the most, frankly.
Not me.
Well, there's a lot.
I think I've only seen it once.
Well, there's a lot of movies by him I don't like. I don't like Dr. Strangelove. I don't like Space Odyssey.
I like Dr. Strangelove.
It wasn't for me, man. I'm gonna be honest.
All right, let's jump into it. Candyman, 2021 horror slasher.
I gotta just throw this out here. So because I'm a horror fan, I'm a little bit biased towards stuff that Jordan Peele is involved in because it's such a fresh take on horror, and he really like breathes some life into this genre. So I'm just saying right now, I fucking love this movie, dude. There are gonna be some people that probably hate on me for saying this, but I think the new version it's one of the only ones. It's this one, and then I would actually say the new Hellraiser movie that's on Hulu. They're like the only like. They're not even remakes. They're like revisionings of an older like tale that I think are actually better than the originals.
Yeah, we didn't even mention the Rob Zombie Halloweens, which I don't think I think I might have seen one. And I know John Carpenter doesn't care for him.
Well, of course he didn't because he did the original, and the original is a fucking classic.
Yeah, it's great.
I do like the first Halloween because it gives Michael more of a backstory, and so I think the first one,
Rob Zombie one,
the first Halloween Rob Zombie one is good, and I actually think that's where he shines as a director most. And it's the movie where Sherry Moon is the least annoying as an actress. The second one is not good though.
All right, Candyman director Nia DaCosta.
Yep,
never heard of her.
Yeah, I think I don't know if this is her first movie. I think this might be her first big budget movie, though.
84% tomato meter, 72 audience. Pretty good score.
I think it's fair, man. As far as horror movies go, this is a fucking good one. And I think it's got a good story, too.
Tagline, dare to say his name.
Hell yeah.
It's fun how the Universal logo and the MGM logos are all backwards when you first started. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it really, they play with this idea. See,
because I'd never seen any of these movies either, so I didn't really know why it was. I was sure that it had something to do with the story, why they were all backwards.
I don't remember. Well, the reason it's backwards is because
of the mirror.
Because in the mirror, yeah, and because he's summoned through the mirror, so that's why you see everything backwards, which I think is a cool touch.
Yeah, it's interesting how.
Sorry,
you would think some studios wouldn't be down for that. Like, no, do it right.
Well, but because Jordan Peele was the producer, he carries a lot of weight because all of his horror movies that he's been a part of have been fucking massive hits, man.
Do you like Nope?
I love Nope. I would totally understand why people don't like Nope.
It was alright.
It's because it's a very strange take, but I think it's such a fresh take on an alien movie. There's fucking nothing like it, man. It's so different. And I really enjoy it, like being like a completely different idea of what aliens would be like, because you know what I mean. It's like it's something like otherworldly, and you're just like, oh shit,
sure,
this is fucking. That's a really cool idea. And plus that scene where it like ate all those people, and then fucking like that raining blood scene. I'm a sucker for raining blood, dude. I love that in any movie.
I like Slayer.
Oh, I love that song. There's like 5 Slayer songs I like, and that's
Rain
one of them.
in Blood. That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Both of I mentioned that they both kind of took place in 1977. At least the beginning of this one.
Yep.
Weird coincidence. Jordan Peele. Yeah. I don't have a super lot of notes on this one, but we can go to some of the Facebook comments. If I could pull that up. What are you pulling up?
I'm actually pulling up the original Candyman because I don't remember the story for that very well.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so, okay. So what is really cool is the original Candyman is essentially it's like, you remember how they're telling all the stories of the different Candymen? Well, in the original movie, he was the son of a slave, just like the very first Candyman movie is in this story. And so that's actually how they bridged both movies together. So this isn't a remake. It's kind of like a revisioning. And I really fucking like it for that. Now I'm gonna kind of address some of the flack that this movie has gotten, because people have told me like, well, I don't like that movie because it's too racial. I was like, have you never seen the fucking original? It's very racial. It's like he's literally like the vengeful ghost of the son of a slave. Like, this is like it is about race, and it's like very much about how like black communities are thrown to the wayside and then fucking gentrified once they can people can profit off of them. Like, it's like that's what this shit is all about. And that's kind of why I love his comment to because frankly, I do not like critics. I think most critics are so much up their own ass.
I've been watching The Critic.
But that his line to the lady where he's like, "Oh, I love how you basically dismiss my work, but now that it's worth something to you, now you see something in it." You know what I mean? He's like, "I love how white women like you can tell me about black art." Like, I loved that so much, man.
Yeah.
Because and that's kind of where the artist in me I get his struggle. I have no idea what it's like to be a fucking black artist. I'll just say that right now. But I understand what it's like to be
I do. No, I'm kidding.
But I understand what it's like to be an artist and struggle and have other people that really don't know a fucking thing about art put your shit in a box. Like, I completely understand that.
Sure. It's interesting because like he did after the first murder happened or whatever, after the gallery show or whatever, he didn't even care about the murders. He was just like, they said my name on TV and all that shit, dude. Yep. I was like, okay. He was just happy that they fucking mentioned his name.
Glad he finally got recognition for his work.
Yeah. What do they say? There's no such thing as bad publicity or something.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, he kind of fucking hated those people anyway. So it's just like, he's like, this is a win. He's like, I don't have to deal with these people. They're not like in my girlfriend's ear, and I'm fucking famous now. He's like, it's a win-win, baby. Like,
so for anyone who doesn't know, let's kind of break it down. So it's basically the slasher or killer in this movie he's like you say his name in the mirror 5 times and he appears, but he's got this whole backstory of how he was tortured and shit.
Well, it's really interesting because it's
kind of hard to explain.
With Candyman, every generation has a rendition of Candyman. Right. And Candyman is all about revenge, and it's revenge against the unjust.
Right.
So
the first unjustly fucking beaten, burned and all that.
Well, the first Candyman is the son of a slave who was freed, and he was an artist, and he fell in love with a white woman. Well, this was, in the late 1800s, and it's still a big no-no.
Oh yeah.
And so the girl of this mogul got pregnant, and they lynched him, and they pulled his arms and legs apart. It's a method called quartering, where
like on Braveheart. They do that to Braveheart. No,
that is called drawn and quartered, and that's something different. So what I'm fucked up. This is a hobby of mine.
Dude,
like, I know all
Braveheart. I'm kidding.
No, please do. I'll watch it. I love that movie.
Rules, dude.
But what hung, drawn, and quartered is it started in France, and then it became popular in England.
The French are assholes.
But what hung, drawn, and quartered is I bet you are, baby.
Sorry.
But you would literally hang the person until they passed out, and then you would essentially put them on a table, and you would cut them open, and then start putting their organs on a fire while they were still alive. And then you would chop their limbs off and then decapitate them. That is what hung, drawn, and quartered was, and that's what happened in Braveheart. But what I mean specifically by quartered is when your limbs are tied to 4 different horses, and then they smack the horses' asses at the same time, so they run in different direction, and they literally rip your body.
That's what happened in Braveheart.
No. They literally chop him into pieces and then decapitate him.
Pick it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
that's the first one. This I don't remember the order of them, but one of them is a child that the police stole a bike and they shoot him.
A woman too?
One of them's a woman.
Candy woman.
One of them. I mean, there's like 5 different stories.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of like, wait, what's going on here? I was a little confused for a minute.
But essentially, the whole point is every era has a Candyman, and the Candyman before the newest rendition was the guy the guy that's in the laundromat that tells the story to our hero. He witnessed the very last Candyman, who was
back in 77.
Who was the guy that passed out candy with the hook hand. And he
is he the guy from the original?
No, I'm gonna get to that later. So he was just somebody who looked menacing, but was very simple. But he just, some of those people that are just really intimidating with their sweethearts. That is that guy. But there was this girl that got candy that had a razor blade in it. So the police assumed it was that rendition of the Candyman, and they beat him to death. And so he is part of that story too. And that's what I think is so cool about this movie is after they do the ending, that slideshow that plays is each different version of the Candyman. I watched that, and I actually really like that as an exposition. I think it's a really cool way to tell a story within a story, so that way that you're actually watching not what's going on currently in the movie, but this is what happened in the past.
The whole
and I think the artwork is just really cool for that. So I really enjoyed that.
And what's with the bees thing? Didn't they shoved a hive of bees in them or something?
That is one of the things where they locked one of the people that were murdered in a beehive, and that's kind of how the bees became a part of it. Right. Is they stung them to death. And I mean, if you're in a beehive and they get agitated, even if you're not allergic, you can 100% be killed by that. If you're being stung by hundreds and hundreds of bees, that can absolutely cause you to swell and die, like 100%. Because bee stingers themselves, they have venom in them, and you get fucking 300 bee stingers in you're gonna have a really bad day. And it's also part of I don't remember the
My Girl.
Yep, he's allergic, so he gets stung by one bee and he dies. But that is My Girl.
I don't even remember that movie. I just remember that.
Everybody remembers that part, man. Everybody remembers that part.
I do. Go ahead.
But I was gonna get into the original. The bee thing is like a big part of the original. I just don't remember it that well because it's been so long since I've seen it. And again, I just prefer this version. I just think it's a more well-crafted version because they really iron out the story and what's going on.
I feel like this movie is a little tropey, It's got a lot of fucking things that a lot of scary movies have.
Sure.
The fact that, even like the saying the name in the mirror, that, that was Bloody Mary when I was growing up. Did you ever have Bloody Mary?
But I think as a horror movie fan, that's why I like it, because it's paying homage to a lot of those themes.
Yeah, and there's like all the old lore, and then even the fact that his girlfriend doesn't believe him, and it's just I feel like I've seen all this before.
Sure, and I totally understand that. I just I think its presentation especially like with the side stories, like in like those like the brown and gray and like the characters are like black, like cutout characters. Really like that, man.
Yeah.
I would say that this movie's strongest point is its like cinematography and presentation. I just think like it's so tight in that regard. And I think it does that. It does have like a slow build of really going down the rabbit hole. But I think what is cool is when he is told the Candyman story, where this is going to be big spoiler territory if you haven't seen this movie. Spoiler alert. Is where he's researching the woman who threw an infant into the fire and she was burned alive, because she's part of that project that he's researching alongside Candyman. So he's like building this story to present with his artwork, because that, let's face it, you can make absolutely dog shit artwork, but if you have a convincing enough story, you can make people eat that shit up. I mean, look at fucking Jackson Pollock paintings, dude. It's literally just paint drizzle on a fucking canvas, and it's worth millions of dollars.
Yeah, some of that art shit.
It's that fucking contemporary Art Deco bullshit, and critics like it's like a giant cock they jam down their throat. They can't get enough of it, you know what I mean? And so that his desire to like really have this strong story alongside of this and delve into this woman who was apparently burned after she stole an infant. And this is, I think, the best twist of the movie, when you find out that he was the infant she stole.
Right.
Like, that is the wildest part of the movie, and it's where the main character becomes physically tied to Candyman, because you find out the reason that happened is because of Candyman, and that he actually lived in that project where like all those Candyman occurrences take place. So he is like deeply rooted in all of this. And he's being led down this path by the guy at the laundromat. That's the other thing I think is different, is it's not, the main character isn't choosing to actively be this thing of vengeance. Sorry. You okay?
I got jizz in the back of my throat.
Oh, damn.
Just kidding.
But he's not actively choosing this path of vengeance. It's just being thrust upon him, and it's like some of it's circumstantial. But the guy from the laundromat who is like told him the Candyman story, he's actively trying to recreate the spirit of vengeance, because what he's seen has fucked him up, and he realizes how wrong, like what happened in his lifetime, all the shit he's seen. So he's trying to recreate this. And honestly, man, I think the end of the movie is fucking dope.
I did like the end of the movie.
And so that's gonna and that's where like this becomes it really elevates itself into this supernatural thing where you know there's plenty of dirty cops, and they're basically trying to frame his girlfriend for all the Candyman murders and for the murder of the guy.
Well, he kind of gives her an ultimatum, right?
Yep. And then she says the name, and she's
like, can I look in the mirror real quick? I'll tell you whatever you want to hear.
Because the cops, so I'll backtrack a little bit. So the guy from the convenience store who is actively trying to create this ghost of vengeance calls the cops and informs them that the guy responsible for the Candyman murders is there, which is her boyfriend. And so when they see him with the hook hand, they shoot him on sight. And they're like grilling her with all these questions, and they basically give her an ultimatum where she either sign a plea deal, or they're basically just going to pursue her as an accomplice to the Candyman murders. And that's when she looks in the mirror and says his name, and shit gets wild. Candyman, he fucking starts killing all these cops, and he has this, I wish I could remember the line. I'm gonna give it a go, because it's a great set of lines.
All right. While you're doing that, I'll give him some of my notes. I thought it was a little weird. He wasn't worried about his hand after that bee sting, and it started to grow and shit. It took him a while just to get to the fucking hospital. He didn't even care for the longest time. And it's just like growing up on his neck and shit. And I was like, you didn't want to go get that checked out or what?
Well, I think you also have to consider this all happens in a very short amount of time. So this isn't like something where like months have passed. This is maybe like within like a week or two.
And after seeing it first starting to grow, I kind of guessed he would turn into the Candyman. I kind of seen that coming.
Yeah, I think kind of everybody kind of.
My only other note is really that his mom, she does not look old enough to be his mom.
I actually also thought that.
But I looked it up, and she's 60 years old. Black don't crack.
So she absolutely was old enough to be his mom.
She totally was. I was like, because she does. She looks great, dude. For 60 years old? Oh, my God. I just thought that was interesting. I had to give that a goog.
He says, it's different from the original Candyman line, which is, I am the writing on the wall, the whisper in the classroom, without these things, I am nothing, so now I must shed innocent blood. And it's actually the opposite motif of this movie. So that was something I forgot, is the original Candyman sheds innocent blood. But that's what I like about this Candyman, is the blood that Candyman sheds in this movie is not fucking innocence.
Hells yeah.
So in this one, he says, I'm the writing on the wall. I am the sweet whisper of blood, that echo buzzing in the alleyways that you fear. Like, it's just such a fucking cold-ass line, dude. Like, this, they've had over 20 years to update this movie, and for what it's worth, I think the update is fucking great. But the very ending where he looks at her and he says, tell everyone, how the bees buzz around and his face changes?
Yeah.
That is the actor from the original Candyman movie. That's how they tie it all together, and I thought that was so fucking cool.
That's cool. Well, I don't have any more notes, but I'll shout out some people who commented if you're down for that.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Miranda again said, well, I'd have to say it's another horror fave. I still have it on DVD. Part 2 was more of a backstory line.
Yeah, she's talking about the originals. Yeah.
They were both very good. I have not seen the new remake yet. My thoughts on opinions is based off the original in the 90s. And I was telling her, I was like, yeah, my buddy Drew, he picked the 2021 remake and shit. And then Keith was like, they did a remake?
Yep.
I was like, yeah, man, Jordan Peele's on board. Oh, there goes the camera.
That's okay. We're about done.
Buddy Cody Randall said not a remake, more of a requel.
I would say, like I said, it's more of a revisioning for the movie.
Our buddy Tim, Tim.
Yeah.
Timbo.
Tim's a big horror movie fan too, so.
All he said was solid pick. All right, thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Timmy. Appreciate you.
Victor Job, he said, I thought it was pretty good. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Hell yeah.
I think it's cool to mention all these people, the people who comment on our shit.
Yeah, of course, man.
Just to get people more involved in shit. Maybe he'll
of course, and if
hear us shout out them on the pod. And shit.
And I'm kind of down to start taking requests too. If there's movies we haven't talked about, haven't seen that you guys want us to review, I'm totally down to do that.
Oh, and you seen Nate's comment about House of a Thousand Corpses, right?
Yep.
He said, not a huge horror fan, but really loved the movie. I feel like what made this movie great is the fact that it was rooted in reality. There was no unstoppable boogeyman or dolls or zombies or twisted, fucked up people. And I was like, well, towards the end, it kind of
it goes
it gets a little
rails,
supernatural, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he started talking about the other ones, like 31 and all that.
Yeah.
And then a couple more. Shout out to Joey Burton. He said, this is... talking about House of a Thousand Corpses here. He said, this is all the classic feel of a horror movie you can ask for. Great performance by Bill Moseley for me, and it feels like an ode to his role as Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yep. Yep, I totally agree, man. I totally agree.
And then last one, Adam Fish from Taste of War. You know, we love those guys.
Love those dudes. We wish we still played with them, man.
Again, House of a Thousand Corpses. He says, I really thought the Firefly trilogy was a lot of fun. People shit on zombies movies, but I dig them. I don't know what he means by that.
So there are actually 3 of these movies. So there's House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and then they did one after Sig Hayed had died. They have like some scenes with him in, but he couldn't be part of the group because he passed away like in production. So it's called 3 from Hell. So
yeah, I vaguely remember that.
And it's a funny fun movie. It's not as good as Devil's. I'd say it's probably the worst of the 3, but it's fine for what it is. It's enjoyable. It's just a little weird because there's no way any of them should have been alive after Devil's Rejects. I just set aside the fact that I'm kind of calling bullshit on it, and I was like, I'll just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. All right, there you have rating.
I give it a 7, man. I like this movie.
I think I'm sitting at like a 5.5 around there. Like I said, it's kind of tropey, and it feels like I've seen a lot of this shit done over and over.
Yeah, and it's kind of a hard thing with horror movies now. Like, it's really
and again,
hard.
I'm not a horror guy in general.
It's
anyway,
just so hard to be original, but I think for like what it does with a movie, I think there's enough originality to it to enjoy it, especially like for a first watch.
Rewatchability, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I don't
see myself popping it back on, but I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, and it's just like I was trying to, because I know I kind of got a pretty good feel for the movies you like, and I was like, there's a lot of horror movies.
By the way, you don't have to pick movies you'll think I'll like. You can pick whatever the fuck you want.
But I kind of want to, though, because when it's genres that you don't like, I was like, man, I want to fucking pick that one where he's like, yeah, I fucking like that movie. You know what I mean? That's kind of, I don't always pick movies I think you're going to like, but when it's like genre, like it's the same thing with like the anime movie, you know what I mean? I was like, I know he doesn't like this shit, so I want to fucking pick one that I think he would fucking like, you know what I mean?
I appreciate that. That's cool. One thing left to do, I think, right? Pick our next movies.
Our next movie. Fuck, man. I'm gonna make you go first.
You don't.
I have no idea. Yeah.
All right. Well, I've been mulling it over, and I think I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna pick a movie I've already picked with Mike, but I think this will be the last time I do that. You know what I mean? Because all the other ones, I don't feel like I need to bring back up. But this movie, I fucking love.
Okay.
And it's Coen Brothers. Mike didn't really care for it.
Okay.
I think it's a very underrated Coen Brothers movie.
Okay.
Oscar Isaac. I'm talking Inside Llewyn Davis, bro.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of it?
No, I mean, I know he's... I've heard of the movie. Actually, yeah, I'm sorry. I have heard of the movie. Because I think I've seen a trailer for it.
Yeah. So he's like a struggling folk artist.
Yep, I've seen the
Greenwich
trailer.
Village.
Yep, I've seen the trailer for it.
So, yeah, that's my choice, and I'm sticking to it. It'll probably be the last time I do, redo a movie.
I'm going to...
Because I want you to see it.
Yeah, and I know this is a movie you've seen, but it's been on my list for a while, and I have not picked it yet, and I haven't seen it, so I'm going to pick Manchester by the Sea.
All right. I knew you were going there. Hell yeah. That's a good one. It's heavy. It's a heavy one. Do you know what it's about?
Nope. I'm going in blind.
Nice. Yep. All right. Fuck yeah, dude. Inside Llewyn Davis, Manchester by the Sea. That's a pretty good pairing, I think. They're both drama. Inside Llewyn Davis is a little more comedy, but yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Well, this is a long one, man, and hope you all enjoyed it. Happy Halloween.
You guys. Happy Halloween, motherfuckers.
Fuck yeah. This comes out the day before Halloween, or if you're watching on YouTube, the day of Halloween. So, appreciate you sticking in there with us. We love you. We'll see you next time.
Peace out.
Peace out.
I was like, it looks like a fucking anus, like puking like pea soup.
Prolapsed anus.
Yeah,
Like
a prolapsed anus puking pea soup. Like, what the fuck are you even doing with this movie?